Aliens invaded Earth. And left in 20 minutes. Why? Because they thought we were weak. They didn't know we were the Deathborn, the last mistake they'd ever make. At 3:02 a.m. the skies tore open, and death rained down. It started with a hum, like the sky itself was holding its breath. Birds stopped mid-flight. Streetlights flickered. Then thousands of glowing orbs appeared in Earth's orbit. Perfectly spherical, motionless at first, like watching eyes waiting for something. Then they moved. In coordinated silence the orbs descended, glowing like miniature suns. Their targets were clear: Earth's largest and most populated cities. New York, Shanghai, Lagos. Within seconds those cities were erased. Not bombed. Not invaded. Erased. Reduced to nothing but glass craters and columns of rising black smoke. No sound. No warning. Just instant surgical annihilation. Billions watched in horror from their screens, until the screens went dark. Global satellite feeds began to vanish one by one. First news networks. Then GPS. Then emergency broadcasts. The internet, normally a swirling sea of noise, fell into eerie quiet. The last thing many people saw before the blackout was a single word scrolling across their screen. Contact. It was not a war. It was an execution. The invaders didn't speak. No message. No demand. No ultimatum. No strange voice asking to be taken to a leader. Whatever they were, they had come with one purpose: eradication. And humanity had never looked smaller. In every capital across the world, panic took root. Civilians screamed through burning streets. Emergency sirens wailed in every direction, though there was nowhere left to run. Leaders argued over secure channels that lasted seconds before vanishing. Fighter jets scrambled to intercept targets they couldn't track. Nuclear launch codes were activated but never used. The world was crumbling under an enemy it didn't understand. But then something happened. Something strange. Something no one had expected. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in a bunker so secret even most world leaders didn't know it existed, a red light flickered on. It blinked exactly 5 times, then turned solid. The United Nations Emergency AI System, Sentinel, had awakened. Sentinel was never meant to exist. Or rather, it was never meant to be needed. A last resort safeguard built during a time when humanity still feared nuclear holocaust or global cyber warfare. Its existence was buried under 1,000 layers of secrecy, and its purpose was terrifyingly simple. If the survival of the species was at stake, Sentinel would act. And that's exactly what it did. At 3:05 a.m., Sentinel activated Protocol Nemesis, a theoretical retaliation strategy designed to launch all of Earth's hidden weapons systems in a single coordinated strike. Around the planet, buried silos opened. Not for nukes but for something worse. Smart kinetic warheads, designed to pierce space armor and disable hostile ships mid-flight. Stealth satellites, blacked out for decades, blinked back online, armed with plasma lances and EMP cannons. Submarines surfaced silently and launched high-atmosphere missiles designed to detonate in zero gravity. And from the far side of the moon, a structure no one on Earth had ever seen before began to move. It was called the Lance of Dawn, a weapon built by over 50 nations in secret cooperation, hidden beneath the lunar surface. Its energy core, powered by artificial fusion, hummed to life for the first time. It turned slowly in orbit, targeting coordinates Sentinel had calculated in milliseconds. Back on Earth, in the hidden war room beneath Geneva, the few people cleared to monitor Sentinel stared in disbelief. General Sienna Reese, commander of the now active United Global Defense Command, stood motionless as alerts poured in. "Targeting confirmed," said Sentinel's voice, smooth, emotionless, and coldly efficient. "Time to impact. 37 seconds. Reese turned to her team. "Confirm launch," she said. "Already launched," Sentinel replied. "The Earth has responded." The first counterstrike was invisible to the naked eye. In the upper atmosphere, drones the size of soda cans zipped toward the alien orbs at hypersonic speed. They didn't carry explosives, they carried data. Viruses, specifically engineered to infect anything that used a network, flooded the invader systems. Within seconds, several orbs froze midair. A moment later, Earth's kinetic warheads reached their targets. Invisible rods of tungsten, dropped from orbit at Mach 10, struck the alien vessels with the force of mini-nukes. No radiation, just raw impact. 3 alien ships exploded instantly, then 5 more, then 15. By 3:10 a.m., Earth had destroyed over 40% of the alien fleet. The invaders tried to adapt. Their formations shifted. They deployed strange shielding systems. But Sentinel was already ahead, feeding Earth's weapons new targeting patterns and countermeasures in real time. From the skies of Siberia to the Pacific Ocean, humanity was no longer defending itself. It was fighting back. In Brazil, a ground-based laser cannon nicknamed God's Eye focused its beam for over 10 seconds, enough to slice straight through an enemy cruiser's hull. The ship disintegrated before it even touched the ground. Across Europe and Asia, military bases long thought inactive revealed massive underground artillery arrays, rising up like mechanical giants. And in orbit, human-crewed spacefighters, once prototypes, were launched from stealth hangars on the moon. Their pilots were young, barely trained, but angry. They had lost families, cities, friends, and now they were here to make the invaders bleed. By 3:22 a.m., the battle had changed completely. What began as a massacre had become a full-scale war. And for the first time, the aliens were losing. They had come believing humanity was fragile, that Earth was an easy conquest. They didn't know we had been preparing for decades, in silence, in secret. They didn't know that every threat in human history, every war, every conflict, every disaster, had taught us one thing: we survive, we adapt, and when pushed to the brink, we strike back harder than anyone expects. The invaders thought we would beg. Instead, they made us angry, and now we were just getting started. Buried deep beneath the Arctic ice, far beyond the reach of GPS, satellites, or even the deepest radar scans, a base no civilian knew existed came to life. It was known only by a code: Facility 01, headquarters of the United Global Defense Command, UGDC for short. An alliance forged not of countries but of survival, hidden from the public, unknown even to most governments, a contingency built in case Earth ever faced something no nation could defeat alone. That day had come. Inside the underground war room, walls pulsed with red emergency lights. Sirens howled faintly in the distance, muffled by meters of reinforced titanium alloy and Arctic stone. Screens lit up with chaos. Live feeds from burning cities, data streams from defense networks, unreadable alien signals pulsing across every spectrum. General Sienna Reese stood at the center of the room, a towering figure of cold precision. Her short silver hair was slicked back, her jaw clenched tight. The last time she'd seen a real battlefield was 2 decades ago, in the final AI insurrection war. But this was unlike anything. On the giant main screen, alien ships hovered above Earth's atmosphere, glowing like gods. Cities burned in their wake. Every second lost meant millions more lives. Her voice cut through the noise. Status: 78% of global defense systems are offline or compromised, said Artemis, the UGDC's quantum AI assistant. Civilian networks have collapsed. Estimated global casualties: 31 million and climbing. General Reese didn't flinch. Her eyes scanned the screen showing the live orbital feed. One of the alien ships, over 3 kilometers wide, drifted toward Tokyo. Another moved toward Cairo. The timeline was shrinking. Time since first contact? She asked. 3 minutes, 22 seconds, Artemis replied calmly. 3 minutes. That was all it had taken for the world to fall apart. But General Reese wasn't here to panic. She wasn't a politician. She was Earth's final shield. And she'd trained her entire life for this very moment, even if no one believed it would ever come. She turned toward her officers, elite minds from every continent, hand-picked and stationed here for the unthinkable. She gave the order without hesitation. Launch Project Retribution. All units. All platforms. Now. There was a pause. Barely a heartbeat. Then the room erupted into controlled chaos. Across the globe, dormant systems came alive. In the deserts of Nevada, orbital railguns hidden beneath civilian research facilities rose from the sand, their barrels humming as magnetic coils powered up. Each one could fire a depleted uranium slug at 20 times the speed of sound, capable of punching holes through steel mountains. In the Indian Ocean, stealth submarines that had never appeared on any naval registry silently adjusted depth. Their payloads? space-to-sky missiles armed with high-frequency scramblers and AI-guided warheads. Missiles that had never been tested. Until now. Above Siberia, vast tundra fields cracked open as mobile missile silos emerged, carried on automated walkers the size of small buildings. These weren't ICBMs, they were stratosphere weapons, built to launch from ground to orbit in 60 seconds, each one designed to carry 10 autonomous drone fighters into the upper atmosphere. And far above Earth's surface, something ancient and monstrous began to stir. From the dark side of the moon, Lance of Dawn powered up. A relic of collaboration, forged in secret after the first deep space anomaly detected back in 2057. A weapon built using alien tech fragments, quantum fusion, and human ingenuity. No one had ever dared test it. Some said its activation could crack the moon. Now it rotated slowly, deliberately toward the alien fleet. Back in Facility 01, Artemis's voice cut in again. All platforms launching. Global defense systems online in 5-4. Override atmospheric security protocols, Reese ordered. Engage Artemis Override 7. One of the technicians hesitated. Ma'am. Override 7 authorizes deployment of classified AI combat assets. I'm aware, Reese snapped. Do it. Override confirmed, Artemis said. All across Earth, combat AIs, banned in every international treaty since the Martian incident, were released from digital cages. They were fast, cruel, and effective. They operated on one principle only: defend Earth. At any cost. Soon a new layer of defense took shape. In Earth's lower orbit, stealth satellites shimmered into visibility, flickering as their cloaking fields dropped. Some deployed jamming pulses. Others fired hypersonic darts guided by light. A few split open and unfolded like flowers, revealing rotating rings of directed energy turrets. The alien ships silent, terrifying since the shift. Their movements became erratic. Defensive energy fields began activating. They hadn't expected resistance this coordinated, this fast. And they definitely hadn't expected Earth to shoot back. The first wave of hypersonic drones reached orbit. Sleek, needle-shaped craft with no human pilots, controlled directly by Artemis. Their formation was perfect, a swarm of precision and fury. They tore through enemy shielding, sacrificing themselves to expose weak points for the real strike. Targets acquired, Artemis said. Optimal firing solution uploaded to Lance of Dawn. General Reese narrowed her eyes. Fire. On the moon, a beam of pure energy burst from the lance. It wasn't visible to the naked eye, but the results were. One of the alien capital ships, the one hovering over the Atlantic, ceased to exist. It didn't explode. It simply vanished, erased from the sky in a single flash. Cheers erupted in the war room. Reese didn't smile. That's one, she muttered. Let's make sure it's not the last. All around the world, people stared at the sky. For a moment they had seen only fire. Now they saw something else. Hope. Earth wasn't going down without a fight. And in those frozen bunkers and digital clouds, a message was written in every language on every signal, carried by every missile launched in retaliation. You came to conquer. You met humanity. Prepared to be erased. The counterattack had begun. And Earth had just drawn first blood. The aliens had superior tech. No question about it. Their ships defied known physics. Sleek obsidian shapes that twisted in and out of view like phantoms, moving faster than radar could track. They tore across the sky like angry stars, each one leaving trails of blue fire in their wake. Their weapons were quiet, terrifyingly so. No loud blasts or missiles. Just flashes of white light followed by entire buildings, streets, or people gone. They didn't need to be loud. They were efficient. But in all their advanced intelligence, all their interstellar power, they overlooked one critical detail. They didn't understand humanity. They saw our outdated tanks, our chaotic governments, our internal squabbles. They saw disunity, weakness, primitive weaponry. They thought Earth would fall in minutes. They thought wrong. Because humanity has a long-standing tradition, one not taught in tactical simulations or alien war councils. We fight dirty. And when Earth fights dirty, we fight to win. The first wave of Earth's retaliation hit fast and without warning. Orbital railguns, activated from secret bunkers worldwide, hurled solid metal slugs at Mach 20 toward the alien cruisers. The alien shields shimmered as they absorbed the first few impacts. But that was the bait. What came next were smart munitions, plasma-tipped missiles launched from high-orbit platforms, each equipped with a neural microcore. These weren't simple explosives. These were intelligent weapons that could adapt mid-flight, analyze shielding frequencies, and choose the most vulnerable point of impact. One by one, the alien ships began to explode, not with cinematic fireballs, but with eerie silent ruptures as their gravity cores destabilized. They weren't prepared for Earth's defense systems to think. They weren't prepared for our weapons to learn. And they definitely weren't prepared for what came next. From beneath the waves, Earth's deadliest ghosts stirred. Submarines, one so deep they had to be designed with alien tech salvaged decades ago, launched payloads meant to leave the ocean and climb into space. Torpedoes designed with magnetic boosters burst upward through the water, then transitioned to rocket propulsion in the air, rising like vengeful spears toward the orbital battlefield. Each one carried a dual payload: physical destruction and digital infiltration. The first payload hit. An alien cruiser, still turning to respond, shuddered as it was struck from below. Its shields flickered, then failed entirely. The second payload, an AI-based logic bomb, infiltrated the ship's internal systems through its exposed comms relay. It took just 1.7 seconds to turn their ship against them. The alien cruiser spun out of formation and opened fire on its own fleet. The invaders didn't expect that. They didn't expect us to hack them. On the ground, chaos had given way to coordination. Humanity's scattered militaries had unified under one command chain through the UGDC. Generals who once would have argued over airspace now shared targeting data in real time. Language barriers were shattered by tactical AI overlays. Borders became irrelevant. Earth had never been more united. And nowhere was that unity more terrifying than in South America. Buried beneath the Andes Mountains was a weapon the world believed was just a myth: God's Eye. A ground-based laser platform the size of a stadium, powered by a miniature fusion reactor and aligned by quantum gyroscopes. It had never been used in combat. Until now. A massive alien mothership hovered over the Pacific, preparing what looked like a second-stage assault. Civilians in coastal cities braced for another wave of destruction. Instead, the clouds over Chile split open, and a narrow beam of pure energy, unseen by the human eye, pierced the atmosphere. The beam struck the mothership mid-hull and sliced it clean in half. There was no sound, no explosion. The ship simply folded, its geometry collapsing in on itself. A moment later, its wreckage fell into the Atlantic Ocean, generating a tsunami that dwarfed anything Earth had seen in a century. People across the globe cheered, because for the first time in this war, if you could call it that, the aliens were bleeding. Back in orbit, Artemis, the UGDC's command AI, was calculating faster than the invaders could adapt. Every time the enemy shifted their strategy, Artemis shifted faster. She was feeding every drone, satellite, and pilot live combat data. Enemy formations were reverse-engineered in seconds. Targeting solutions were updated every millisecond. This wasn't just a battle anymore. It was a chess match, and Earth was thinking 10 moves ahead. Every orbital drone Earth had, armed with smart dust fragmentation shells or just the brute force of kinetic mass, was now engaging. They didn't need to win head-to-head. They only needed to disrupt, distract, and expose. Because once a target was marked vulnerable, it was already as good as gone. In one recorded moment, later used in military documentaries, a squadron of alien interceptors attempted a high-speed dive through the upper atmosphere, likely trying to hit Earth's remaining command centers. They didn't make it. A squad of hypersonic interceptors from India, China, and Germany, flying under one unified Earth squadron tag, engaged in a perfect ambush. They used atmospheric drag, solar interference, and a trick involving time decoys to scramble the alien sensors. Then they opened fire. The entire alien wing was obliterated in under 11 seconds. And all this? This was just the beginning. Earth had lost cities, families, landmarks. Billions grieved. But we hadn't lost hope. In fact, we were only now getting warmed up. Across every major region, resistance cells armed with military drones and AI logistics systems began launching countermeasures. Hackers used quantum algorithms to break alien comms and decipher patterns. Engineers in Australia reprogrammed mining bots into battlefield mechs. Civilians volunteered en masse to support the cause, repairing tech, delivering food, running underground networks. The aliens came expecting surrender. Instead, they found an entire planet transforming into a weapon. 1 minute at a time. One strike at a time. One dirty, unrelenting, beautiful act of human defiance at a time. They didn't just awaken our defenses. They awakened our rage. And now, we were just getting started. Asked ChatGPT. By minute 12, Earth had already lost over 30 million lives. Entire cities gone. Families shattered. Landmarks erased. The world had been turned into a graveyard lit by burning skies. The alien assault had been cold, clinical, and devastating. But Earth didn't collapse. It responded. With fury. By minute 13, the skies above Earth had turned into a battlefield the likes of which had never been seen. Swarms of hypersonic drones zipped through the upper atmosphere, unleashing bursts of plasma and magnetic shock. Orbital cannons fired from space elevators and secret moon bases pounded the enemy fleet with kinetic payloads capable of punching holes in starships. At minute 14, ground-based AI-controlled railguns were sweeping the skies clean. At minute 15, something unbelievable happened. Half the enemy fleet was gone. Ships that hovered like gods now fell like broken bones, burning through the clouds and slamming into oceans and forests, deserts and mountain ranges. Impact tremors were felt across continents. The air stank of ozone and war. But through the smoke there was a new smell rising. Hope. Humanity, battered and grieving, was still standing. Inside the UGDC command center, every screen was alight with enemy telemetry. Each ship marked, tracked, and analyzed in real time. Artemis, the quantum AI that had become Earth's digital guardian, was adapting faster than any alien algorithm could counter. And yet, something changed at minute 18. The enemy's pattern suddenly became erratic. The ships stopped firing. They stopped advancing. Their movement, once deliberate and terrifyingly synchronized, now seemed hesitant. Sloppy. Then came the signal. A burst of light and sound, encoded in a complex trinary sequence that only Artemis could interpret. On the main screen, the translation scrolled slowly. Ceasefire. Acknowledge. Superior force detected. The war room fell into complete silence. Dozens of officers, soldiers, scientists, analysts, froze as the message repeated. Even the background hum of machines and ventilation seemed to pause. General Sienna Reese stood motionless, eyes narrowed, jaw tight. Are they? She said slowly, surrendering. Artemis's voice came through the speakers, calm, clinical. Analyzing signal integrity. Confirmed. Transmission originates from remaining fleet leadership. Signal consistency indicates non-hostile intent. Probability of surrender. 92%. They are invoking what appear to be mercy protocols. Murmurs broke out across the room. A few officers stared in disbelief. Others began crying, relief, exhaustion, or maybe grief finally catching up to them. But Reese didn't blink. Do we have visual confirmation? She asked. Yes, Artemis replied. All remaining ships are powering down primary weapons. Shields remain active but have dropped to minimum thresholds. Propulsion systems have ceased maneuvering. Reese turned to her command team. Any response from civilian comms? Some signals coming back online, a technician answered. No new strikes in the last 90 seconds. Reese breathed in deeply, then turned back to the command console. Prepare defensive lockdown. Stand down offensive systems but keep targeting solutions locked in place. If any of them so much as twitch, I want a railgun up their throat in under 2 seconds. Understood, Artemis replied. Retargeting protocols active. Standby mode engaged. Reese finally allowed herself to blink. Not to relax, never to relax, but to register what had just happened. After 20 minutes of unimaginable destruction, it was over. Outside, the world was trying to process what had just unfolded. In London, thousands stood in the rain staring at the empty sky. In Nairobi, survivors emerged from underground shelters, looking up through broken buildings and firelit clouds, searching for signs of life or death. In Rio de Janeiro, a child stood on a hill and pointed upward, watching as a wounded alien ship limped away across the stars, trailing smoke like a bleeding bird. People didn't cheer. Not yet. Not fully. They just stood. Alive. Back in UGDC command, Artemis spoke again. Telemetry confirms alien fleet is retreating. Estimated full withdrawal within next 6 minutes. Tracking systems will maintain lock. Reese nodded but didn't turn away from the screen. Her voice was quiet but firm. They came without warning. They killed without mercy. And now they expect us to show it to them. They acknowledge tactical defeat, Artemis said. It is logical. Maybe, Reese replied. But logic doesn't bring back the dead. She looked around at her people, exhausted, some injured, some covered in soot or blood. She saw in their eyes the same thing she felt in her own heart. Pain. And resolve. We let them go, she said finally. Not because they deserve mercy, but because we're not like them. Then she added, almost to herself, but if they ever come back. They won't, Artemis said. Reese arched an eyebrow. How do you know? They made a mistake, Artemis said. They judged Earth by our peace, not by our pain. Time from first attack to alien retreat. 20 minutes. But those 20 minutes would go down in history forever. Later, when the news was broadcast across the recovering networks, the world saw a headline appear on every major screen. Earth stands. Invaders retreat. Humanity endures. In those 20 minutes, the human race had shown the universe exactly what it was made of. Not because of technology. Not because of power. Because of heart. Because when the skies burned and the world trembled, we stood up. Together. We lost millions. We lost monuments. But we did not lose our will. And somewhere out there, among the stars, a wounded alien fleet would carry with them a message written in plasma and blood. Earth is not prey. Earth is not weak. Earth fights back. And next time, if there is a next time, we won't wait 20 minutes. News spread fast. In the hours after the last alien ship vanished from Earth's orbit, humanity stood stunned. Not in disbelief that it was over, though many couldn't believe it, but in awe that we'd survived. Not just survived, but stood tall against what was undeniably the greatest threat in human history. And won. Images flooded back online. Videos of burning cities and falling ships intercut with footage of soldiers dragging civilians from rubble, drones chasing enemy vessels through clouds, and people crying in the streets, not from fear anymore, but from a kind of triumphant grief. A global mourning wrapped in silent celebration. What the alien invaders hadn't known, what they couldn't have known, was that Earth had been ready. At least as ready as anyone ever could be. For decades, humanity had prepared in secret. Ever since the first whispers of deep space anomalies and unexplained signals coming from outside the solar system, leaders, scientists, and militaries had worked in the shadows. Beneath the politics and chaos of daily life, a darker, united undercurrent moved. Black budget projects spanned continents. Entire underground cities were built in silence. AI systems so advanced they made commercial tech look like toys, were trained in virtual battlegrounds billions of times over. Experimental weapons, too dangerous to ever test on Earth's surface, were hidden in orbital vaults and deep ocean labs. From the icy depths of Antarctica to lunar facilities kept off the record books, humanity had been building a wall. A wall made not of brick or steel but of foresight. And they had waited. For this. The invasion had lasted 20 minutes. The preparation had taken more than 50 years. And the message had been sent loud and clear. Humanity was no longer to be underestimated. The first few days after the invasion were chaos. Governments scrambled to account for the losses. Entire countries had gone dark, communication lines cut, cities reduced to ash. Survivors needed food, water, medicine. AI logistics systems took over global supply chains. Autonomous drones deployed emergency relief kits to every known refugee cluster within hours. And through it all, one question echoed louder than the rest. What now? The Drexery, the alien species that had tried to destroy Earth, had not been completely annihilated. Some of their fleet survived. They fled, limping through the void, broken and reeling. But they weren't gone. Not yet. Earth didn't seek revenge. Not outright. But humanity had learned one brutal, permanent lesson. Peace was not a guarantee. Not out there among the stars. Not anymore. And so, just 7 days after the last enemy ship vanished from Earth's sky, the world united in a way it never had before. A coalition of surviving nations backed by private space firms, defense megacorporations, and restructured global alliances, launched what would become the most ambitious mission in human history, the Earth Unity Fleet. More than just a military effort, it was a signal, a declaration, a response not of vengeance but of dominance, not to conquer the stars but to warn them. The fleet consisted of over 50 vessels, refitted from existing spacecraft, expanded with alien tech reverse-engineered by Earth's brightest minds. At its center stood a flagship called Sentinel Prime, a kilometer-long vessel armed with weapons so powerful they required psychic buffering to fire without frying the ship's AI systems. The Unity fleet wasn't just meant to fly. It was meant to be seen. It launched from 3 points on Earth: the Kennedy Deeport in Florida, the Ares platform in low lunar orbit, and the Skyforge array in Kazakhstan. Billions watched the launch on live feeds. Some cried. Some prayed. Some simply stared at the screens, mouths open. Humanity was no longer huddled around campfires staring into the dark. Humanity was stepping into the night, carrying fire. Within days of the fleet's departure, long-range sensors detected a transmission. Not a weapon. Not a threat. A message. The Drexery were not extinct. Though shattered and disgraced, they were not gone. One of their emissaries approached the Unity fleet in a small, unarmed vessel. It did not attack. It did not flee. It simply sent a signal requesting parley. After a tense exchange, the Drexery emissary was brought aboard Sentinel Prime. The creature was tall, thin, its body swathed in organic armor that looked grown rather than made. It moved with a kind of defeated grace, wounded but not cowardly. Through a series of complex translations, facilitated by Earth's AI and adapted neural mapping, the Drexery finally spoke to humanity. And what they said was not an apology. It was a recognition, a concession. They gave Earth a title in their language. It had no direct translation at first. Artemis spent hours rendering its closest equivalents, finally distilling it into 3 phrases. The Deathborn, children of war, keepers of wrath. The Drexery had thought Earth was just another wild planet to be culled, another insignificant dot orbiting an average star. But what they had found instead was a race forged in violence, shaped by endless struggle, and bound together by the one thing their kind could never replicate: defiance. The emissary left without further conflict, and the Unity fleet did not pursue. Not because they couldn't, but because the message had been delivered. Earth would not kneel. Not now. Not ever. And from that day forward, across the known galaxy, in whispers passed between alien traders and hidden empires, one truth echoed louder than any scream of war: do not provoke the humans, for they are the Deathborn, and they remember. If you enjoyed this story of Earth's greatest stand, hit that like button, subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a moment of humanity rising. This is just the beginning, and trust me, what comes next will blow your mind.